Hello. Today I will be doing a video on Grand Army, a new teen drama that takes place near Grand Army Plaza, Brooklyn, New York. I had low expectations going in. I only gave it a chance for the sake of making a review. If you've seen shows like Degrassi or Euphoria, then you already have a clear understanding of what this show is about. Episode 1. I'm already annoyed by all the characters right away. I think I'm just at a point in my life where I am too old to tolerate obnoxious teenagers. So I was very happy the plot moved forward very quickly. A bomb explodes close to the high school, and a kid who skipped class is missing. The school is on lockdown, and in one of the classrooms, there's this one really awkward scene where a girl is reciting a monologue about the clitoris. And she's so loud, and I'm surprised the other students aren't looking at her like she's crazy. Not only does the plot move forward very quickly, but it was very nice to see normal looking teenagers and not models. Too many times in teen TV shows or movies, everyone is dolled up to the point where it's obvious they spent 5 hours in the makeup room. In this show, they look like everyday teens you see in New York, very average looking. The quote unquote hot girls that the less popular girls look up to also look average, and it was very refreshing to see. I thought the episode overall was moderately enjoyable. It was okay. I'm not 100% on board at this point, but I am interested in the Asian girl so far who gets bullied. She's the only storyline I'm really into at this point. Episode 2. This episode mainly deals with the Free the Nipple movement. A female student named Joey is slut-shamed for wearing shorts in the previous episode, so she takes a stand against her teacher by going braless. I have mixed feelings about her message. On one hand, she does make good points about why men are allowed to wear white t-shirts with their nipples poking out, but girls can't, and how there isn't a dress code for going braless, yet she's kicked out of class, and how women shouldn't be demonized for having nipples. But on the other hand, she's wearing a revealing white tank top. And in class, she starts pouring water on herself to expose herself even more because the teacher doesn't give her the reaction she wants. So she ends up nullifying her own argument about over-sexualizing girls by sexualizing herself in order to get a reaction. The ending of the episode confused the hell out of me. The two Black American students face suspension from school because they played a joke on a girl, and in the process they accidentally dropped her wallet down a stairwell and she lost the money in the wallet. They later paid her back but are now in huge trouble despite fixing the issue and paying her back. This was Racism 101. A classic case of over-punishing Black students for the smallest infraction. And what do you know? It was the Black immigrant girl who got the Black American students in trouble. Time and time again, they prove that they have no code of conduct when it comes to Black Americans because they have vitriol for us. Moving on to episode 3, one good thing I can say is that I am happy that none of the Black female characters on the show are over-sexualized or a negative stereotype. Going back to the Black refugee girl, she is being such a bitch. The guys who were responsible for accidentally losing her wallet down the stairwell already apologized to her several times profusely, and they even paid her back. Like, they worked in the subway for hours and hours over the weekend so they can raise the money that she lost. And when one of them confronts her about the suspension hearing, she just barks at them and treats him like shit. Like, what the heck is her problem? Although I did peep the slight colorism in this scene, the darker girl is barking at him, and in the next second, the light skinned girl is more gentle and understanding and sympathetic towards him. And the girl isn't that dark, but still darker in comparison to the biracial looking one, so it's still colorism. I just really hated how she was treating these guys, even though they paid her back and apologized for what they did, which was just goofing around with her. It wasn't even that big of a deal. It took her 4 episodes to finally forgive these guys, but the white girl that assaulted her in the gym, she forgave her instantly. Just a funny side note, I kept confusing these 2 male actors. Like, I literally thought they were the same person for like 2 episodes. The episode overall didn't really deal with anything significant, just teen drama about sex and relationships, and one guy dealing with his sexuality, which I didn't find particularly interesting. I think the character is very one note and bland. The ending did shock me, and I had mixed feelings about it, and it deals with the Joey character who campaigned for the Free the Nipple at her school. This girl is so all over the place, and she is sloppy and dusty and musty, and I'm like, girl, calm the hell down. And even after having that opinion about her, I still felt bad for what happened. Episode 4. This episode deals with the aftermath of what happened at the end of the previous one. Joey is going through a really hard time, and I find it hard to believe that almost no one notices something is very wrong with her unless she's outright crying her eyes out. The rest of the episode just deals with normal teen drama or romance that I didn't really care about. We have almost no progress with the wallet storyline. Episode 5. We get to the wallet situation, which I think is beyond ridiculous. How are none of the characters pointing out how outrageous and racist this whole thing is? They already paid this girl back and apologized several times. Why are they being punished over a mistake? They're still being accused of stealing the money, but they paid the money back. It makes no sense. They're literally just looking for an excuse to over punish promising black students. The refugee that landed the 2 black American students in this situation is having financial trouble with her family because the breadwinner lost their job after an accident. And I don't feel one bit sorry for her at all. She's an asshole. Pardon my language, but she really is, and I think this is karma. And one thing that really ticked me off about her was that in one scene, it looks like she finally sees the humanity of the black American student named Tor Sampson just because he gets along with his parents. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but why did it take her that long to see him as a human like her? She comes from a family with no father, multiple women, having to scrape by to make ends meet, has to take care of her siblings because, again, no father around, so she always has to babysit them. And now her mom is trying to marry her off to a stranger so they can make extra money. But she is the one having a hard time seeing the humanity of a black American man. Get the hell out of here. I cannot stand this character. Like, who do you think you are to look down on someone and then suddenly see their humanity after they already did right by you? Moving on, regarding the girl Joey who got assaulted, this should have been a lesson to stop engaging in risky, stupid behavior. You can be sexually liberated, but act with boundaries. Don't play musical chairs with a bunch of guys in a cab and then get mad when they treat you a certain way. At this point, I can't tell if she was actually assaulted or if she's just embarrassed because a couple of strangers saw her. Episode 6. The refugee starts selling a product she made in order to earn money. so her family doesn't have to force her to marry a stranger. That storyline still cracks me up. She also does hair, and she's offered $300 for 3 clients, and one of the women actually paid to get their hair done like this. I'm at a loss for words. As for the rest of the episode, it mainly deals with other characters talking about whether or not a rumored sexual assault actually happened with Joey. I'm actually surprised more people believe her, since there is a video of her holding up a sex toy while in the cab with the other guys. I thought that was outrageous. I get the message they're trying to send, that even if you do initiate sexual contact, even if you do play around with a sex toy, even if you are making out and doing this, and that, and you have an outrageous sexual history, you still don't deserve to be raped. Like, no means no. But in real life, how the hell do you prove that you were a victim when all of that is put into context? Like, how do you get a jury to believe you when there's videos of you behaving this way? And again, that goes back to, even if you are sexually liberated, you really need to be careful. Because what if something does happen? Like, how the hell do you prove something happened? I mean, unless someone took a video of that, you really have nothing. It's hard enough as it is to get justice, even if you don't have a sketchy past like her. Moving on to episode 7. This is the first time the closeted Indian gay character was interesting. For the longest time, he was the least likable, simply because he didn't have much going on, except for the essay where he confesses his sexuality in order to get into Harvard. I really loved that there are black characters who have a strong interest in jazz and blues. I feel like black Americans have lost the desire for the genre, and it's been gentrified by non-blacks. In one scene, they talk about how the country is on the backs of black Americans and how we need to vote and fight for our future. And I'm like, no. This is propaganda. And the release date was calculated for the 2020 elections. The last thing black Americans need to do is vote, since neither party has a black American agenda. And they hired black immigrant actors to pose as black Americans on the show and preach this nonsense. The Refugee's family is now trying to pimp her daughter out in an arranged marriage so they can get money, which I thought was sad. Like, they actually went through with this. Oh my god. The Joey character goes to therapy and is bitter about what her friends did to her. And this is a hard reality. And I stand by what I said before. And now she's facing the consequences. Moving on to episode 8. The Asian girl, Layla, goes to great lengths to get in good graces with her old friend, who no longer wanted to be friends with her, because she is desperate and lonely and has serious identity issues. I think she's borderline psycho, and this is why whites should not be allowed to adopt children that are not the same race as them, because the kids always end up kooky in one way or another. And what the hell is up with this guy? His name is John, and he's always into this black and Hispanic and people of color nonsense whenever he's talking about black issues, and he's really getting on my nerves. The students held a sit-in because they felt like the black students at their school were being unfairly punished because of race. And this nut job keeps bringing up Hispanic kids and diluting black issues. Even his refugee girlfriend called him out on it. Episode 9, the final episode. Joey transferred to an all-girls private school, and she meets someone who has a very similar background to her. She also wants to confront the guys that assaulted her. I thought this was the first time I really saw things from her perspective, and it was the nail in the coffin and confirmation as to what actually happened, and it was very heartbreaking. But moving on.
The idea that Mary's pain is depicted as pleasurable in the sculpture, that's definitely a man's interpretation of it.
It's actually Saint Teresa of Avila.
Okay.
But sorry for cutting you off. Continue.
Oh my freaking god. I wanted to slap the shit out of that snot-nosed girl. I will never understand people who are so bitchy for no reason.
In like 3 years, I'll be valedictorian of our class, and you'll still be a bunch of mediocre cunts. Speak fucking English.
Fucking finally! She finally grew a backbone. A lot of characters in episode 9 get closure on their storylines, except for Tor, the saxophone player, and Layla, the Asian girl who was adopted and bullied. And those were the most interesting ones, and they're both cliffhangers. This was a pretty good show, and it could have been better if they had cut the runtime of the refugee story and the Indian guy battling his sexuality. I just thought those two were very two-dimensional in personality. Although they did show a positive black relationship, I just didn't like the character herself. She was boring, and I didn't think her acting was that great. And I did not like how it was her fault that the black American student was punished so severely and lost his opportunity to play at Lincoln Center. All the black American characters get the short end of the stick on this show, but the refugee makes it out alive in one way or another. And I thought that was kind of a slap in the face. I also didn't think the ex-girlfriend of the gay guy was a good actress as well. Her acting was pretty terrible in some scenes, but everyone else gave a great performance. As for Layla, I really liked her throughout the show simply because she was a bit psycho towards the end. She has violent tendencies, even though she will most likely never act on them. She kinda reminds me of myself. Being picked on and tormented and being lonely and lost and one day snapping and taking charge of your life because you have to snap at people and be rough around the edges. Otherwise, everyone will walk all over you. Which is sad if you think about it, because going through that changes you as a person. It destroys your character in a way, because you are not meant to be that way, and you just end up spreading negativity the way other people did to you, and the cycle continues. Overall, I give this a 6 out of 10, and I will definitely check out season 2.